Have you ever looked at your life and wondered why, despite all the work that you're doing, it still feels like you're living the same year over and over again? Well, most people believe that creating a radically different life requires a radical transformation, but that's not actually how transformation works. The biggest shifts in reality often begin with incredibly small changes in how you perceive the present moment. Because when you stop living only in the third dimensional world of circumstances and begin living from the fourth dimension, the dimension of consciousness, possibility, and creation, you don't just improve your life, you begin creating an entirely different one. In this episode, I'm going to share 7 tiny daily habits that can fundamentally change the way you experience reality. They're simple, most of them take less than a minute, but together they begin rewiring the way that you think, the way that you feel, and ultimately, the future that you create. So let's get into it. All right, guys, a lot of people come to me saying that they already understand the big picture of reality creation and fourth dimensional thinking, but they struggle with turning that knowledge in the daily practice and making the new way of living a habit. So in this video, I'm going to share with you 7 tiny habits so you can start creating from the fourth dimension every single day. Now, I want to start by acknowledging that my life felt pretty stuck up until about 15 years ago when I got into personal growth. So I went from job to job, business to business, relationship to relationship. And honestly, everywhere I went, there I was. It was always the same experience. I was making a little bit more money, yes, sort of. Was I growing in my career? I guess so. But it always felt like 2 steps forward, 2 steps backwards. And it wasn't until I learned that I create my reality and I started doing the inner work that anything changed. But it wasn't long before I felt stuck again, this time in personal growth. And what I mean by that, and maybe you can relate to this, is I felt like I knew all the mindset stuff, like I knew that my beliefs were creating my reality, but the big limiting beliefs, they weren't shifting. And so my life hit a ceiling. And that's when I realized, look, if I want to get good at this thing called mindset, I have to treat it like I do anything else that I want to get good at. I have to find a way to take the knowledge from my head and put it into a daily practice, right? A lot of the practice was about keeping my attention on my vision, right? That's the fourth dimensional concept, what I wanted, and becoming undisturbed by my current third dimensional reality. So living in the fourth dimension instead of paying so much attention to the third. And so that's why I call this fourth dimensional living, because it's taking the concepts from personal growth and metaphysics and quantum theory and incorporating them into a day-to-day practice so that you can free yourself from your current reality and open the portal to the next level. So here are 7 tiny habits that will allow you to live fourth dimensionally instead of being stuck in your current third dimensional problems. Habit number 1, notice your state of being. Now, I've talked about this on a ton of other episodes. There are only 2 states of being. Powerful states of being, which are states that feel good. States like joy, curiosity, excitement, enthusiasm, passion, compassion. This is when your parasympathetic nervous system is active. And there are primal states of being, states that don't feel good. States like stress, anxiety, overwhelm, jealousy, anger, boredom. And you're always in one state of being or the other, and you're never in 2 states of being at the same time. So habit number 1 is notice your state of being. That's the whole habit. 2 seconds before a call, as you're sitting in a meeting, as you're about to have maybe a difficult conversation, really any point in the day, identify what state of being that you're in. And most importantly, notice when you've moved into a primal state, when you're in the stress, when you're in the anxiety, when you're in the overwhelm, because you're calling forth everything that you envision, your dreams, your goals, your passions, the person that you want to be, when you're in a powerful state. When you're in a powerful state, you're intuitive, you're intelligent, you have access to health, prosperity, abundance, presence, connection, compassion. None of those things exist in a primal state. Think about it. When you're stressed out, are you creating the future that you want? When you're angry, are you creating the future that you want? So the name of the game, if we could boil it down, is notice when you've moved into a primal state and use whatever tools you can to move it back into a powerful state of being. Now, for this first tiny habit, I'm not even suggesting that you should attempt to move back into a powerful state. I'm suggesting you just notice that you've moved into a primal state. That's the first habit, because just the noticing is a powerful tool. Because when you're noticing, you're actually pulling yourself one level up and out of the state itself. Think about it. There's a difference between being angry and noticing that you're being angry. As soon as you move into the noticer or the observer, you're no longer the one who is angry. You're no longer the one who is stressed. Now, that doesn't mean that that feeling has completely evaporated off your nervous system, but that is a really significant shift. There's a concept in neurology and neuroscience called neural pruning. And so what's happening is that nervous system that has become trained to move into that state starts to become cut off from its source when you move into the noticing. You actually start to prune, like going out to a rose bush and cutting off some of the leaves and the flowers. You're pruning your nervous system, and you're starting to build yourself into a version of yourself that is more connected to the fourth dimension as opposed to your third dimensional reality. Habit number 2, stop trying to feel better. Now, I know this is totally counterintuitive, but so much of what we realize we need to be doing is counterintuitive. When you have moved into a primal state and you notice it, allow yourself to feel the way that you feel. Allow the impulse or the energy that is coursing through your nervous system that you're experiencing as emotion to happen. Allow the negative thoughts to occur. See, what happens in a lot of personal growth is that we've been told to believe that we need to think positively, that we shouldn't be feeling badly. And so we start forcing ourselves into a positive state rather than allowing the negative state to pass. And this is what I want you to encourage you to do. It's like digestion. You're metabolizing the experience of your third dimensional reality, the situation or circumstance that is triggering you. You're having the thoughts, you're having the emotions. Your operating system, called the human being, is processing that information through it. It's like digestion or metabolizing the information. Let it pass. Don't try to force yourself to not feel badly. That's just more resistance. And if you notice, you can't do that. And so as you attempt to do that, the mind will create even more waves of information, which is like, wow, I'm really crappy at this thing called personal growth. Or if I don't get out of this negative state, I'm going to continue to perpetuate these circumstances in my life that I don't want. Like, the brain is a storyteller. And so rather than try to battle the way that you're feeling, just allow it. It's like a wave in the ocean. It rises and it falls. That's life, guys. So the emotions are going to come through you. They're going to be uncomfortable. Allow them to rise. Allow them to fall. Learn how to ride the wave of life, right? This is reality surfing. Habit number 3, make one decision a day. Now, I'm not talking about goals. Goals are fine. I'm talking about a decision. Goals are an attempt to do something. I'm going to make more money. A decision is a decision about money. Money is easy to make. Money is abundant. Start making a new decision every single day. Pick one thing, and decide it, and decide it's already done. Not I want this, but this is done, right? So back in the day, I saw a lot of people who were in the helping industry, I guess, if that's what you want to call what we're doing here, partnering together and supporting each other in their book launches and their course launches. And back then I didn't have a network. I didn't have friends who would support and promote me. And I wanted that. And so I made a decision. I decided I wanted to build even more amazing relationships with even more extraordinary people doing even more amazing things in the world. That was the decision. I put a little Post-it note on my computer. I just kept it there. A couple of weeks later, a guy I had met at an event that I spoke at invited me to come speak at his mastermind. So I went and spoke at his mastermind. There were about 8 speakers. It was an intimate group of about 20 people. And the speaker before me was an unbelievable speaker, a guy by the name of Garrett Gunderson. During the first break, after Garrett spoke and I spoke, we were sitting over at the snack bar together. We started having a conversation, and Garrett was a big influencer, a really extraordinary human being, a powerful speaker. He had spoken on hundreds and hundreds of stages. He was an amazing guy doing extraordinary things in the world. And he said, hey, let me get your phone number. And so he texted me back, and I had his contact information. About 3 weeks later, I decided to call him. And he and his family were on a flight layover at Heathrow airport, and he said, hey man, I don't have a lot of time to talk right now. I'm on my way. I rented a villa for 2 months in Tuscany, Italy, where I'm going to be working on my next book. And he said, but hey, how about you and your girlfriend? You come and visit us. So I spoke to Carol about it, and about 3 weeks later, we were on a flight to Italy, heading out to Tuscany. We were driving up to the house, and Carol said, what do you know about this guy? I said, not much. He just said, hey, why don't you come out to Italy, and you can teach me about mindset, and I'll teach you about finance, because that was his expertise. I said, for all I know, he's a chainsaw murderer, so let's keep our fingers crossed. But we ended up having an amazing time, and Garrett was the best man in my wedding, and we've done a lot of collaborations together. All of that came from that one decision that I made, that I wanted to meet even more extraordinary people doing even more amazing things in the world. So my invitation to you is every single day, make a new decision, and then let it go, right? You don't have to think about the decision every day. You're just placing an order with reality. And your decision is not to do something, it's really about something. So a good decision might be money is everywhere, right? That's a great decision about money. I am deserving of abundance. That's a great decision about yourself. My invitation is to make one new decision a day as part of your tiny habits. Habit number 4, let your outside world be wrong. So all of the great mystics and teachers said we should ignore our reality. When your external reality, meaning your present moment, your third dimensional reality, seems to be contradicting what you've decided and what you want to be true, let it be that way. Just let it be wrong. Because what's happening is the current reality that you're living is a byproduct of past thinking and feeling. In other words, there's a lagging, I call it the echo effect, right? Your third dimensional reality is always lagging behind. And so what we want to do is hold the new decisions that we've made and allow our reality to change. The great Saint Paramahansa Yogananda once said, a true yogi learns how to stand unshaken amidst the crash of breaking worlds. Sometimes your third dimensional reality feels like the crash of breaking worlds. And our job is to stand unshaken amidst it and allow that reality to change. You know, your third dimensional reality is the effect of a fourth dimensional root cause. And what I mean by that is all of creation comes from the fourth dimension. It comes from the unseen. It comes from the quantum field. And it sort of live streams into your third dimensional material reality. And most people don't believe this because they say, well, if that's true, how come my third dimensional reality isn't changing? And the answer is because you keep thinking the same thoughts over and over and over again. What you think and what you feel activates the fourth dimension, and whatever you've activated will find its way into your third dimensional reality. But if you're thinking and feeling the same way all the time, your reality never changes. And when we pay attention to that reality, we get caught in a loop. That's that sort of Bill Murray type of Groundhog Day, living the same day over and over, because unless we learn to withdraw our attention and allow our third dimensional reality to be what it is, which I am calling right now wrong as compared to your decisions, we become hooked with it, we become entangled with it, and we keep creating that same reality over and over and over again. Right? So the invitation on this tiny habit is to let your current reality be wrong. Let it be out of alignment with what you've decided and watch how quickly it passes. You know, again, most people think that the reality doesn't change, but the only reason that that occurs is because we keep thinking the same thoughts over and over. Now, this may be the hardest habit, yet the most important one to implement. Habit number 5, move your body. You know, we talk a lot about mindset here, but training hard for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes a day is an implementation of a strong mindset. What I mean by that is whenever we work out, it's a mindset. It gets you out of your head. It gets you into your body. You don't think about your limiting beliefs while you're running hard or doing a high intensity interval training. It's also chemically responsible, right? We're activating chemicals in our body that allow us to move more easily into a powerful state. It's also a confidence builder. So as you train hard, you get stronger, you feel stronger. One of the great mixed martial artists, George St. Pierre, once said, look good, feel good, do good. And so as you train in the gym, you start to look better, you start to feel better, you start to do better. And I think this is something that isn't spoken about enough in personal growth. You got to move your body. Habit number 6, post-it your decisions. By post-it your decisions, what I mean is those little post-it notes. And of course, if you have a better way of doing this or a way that you like, you can do it. But write down your decisions, your new daily decisions or your most important decisions, and post them in front of you so that they're in your awareness, not to read over and over again. You know, a lot of personal growth says you got to write down your new decisions every single day. To me, that's a form of resistance. You only have to ask once, and God hears you. God will deliver the answer, given enough time, through miraculous ways. You don't have to keep asking and asking and asking. To me, that's a sign of desperation. But the invitation is to keep your new decisions in your present awareness. So I think a great thing to do is have your top 2 or 3 decisions on a little Post-it note on your monitor or where you work, or maybe the dashboard of your car, just to keep them in your awareness, to remind yourself, I am worthy, to remind yourself, my message is worth hearing, to remind yourself, I trust the process of life. Habit number 7, grow in silence. So silence is a great opportunity to grow. 5 minutes a day, doesn't even have to be a long meditation. Take the opportunity to inhabit your body, to feel the energy and the aliveness that is inside of you, to connect with your soul, to withdraw your attention from your external environment, because today's external environments are so stimulating, right? With social media and swiping and instant on demand, it's like we're bombarded with things that hijack our attention. This is the opportunity to withdraw your senses and bring them inward, to still your mind. Why is this important? Because it will assist you when the impulses arise. It will help you develop a deeper awareness of what state of being that you are in. And this does not have to be in the morning. It doesn't even have to be a regular routine. You could be sitting in your car. It could be any time, but once a day, 5 minutes to be in inner stillness and silence. That's it. So here's what I want you to remember. Transformation doesn't happen because of one big moment. It happens because of the small moments that you repeat every single day. And every one of these tiny habits is an opportunity to stop reacting to the life that you've already created and start living from the consciousness of the life that you're here to create. That's what it means to live fourth dimensionally. Not waiting for reality to change before you change, but becoming the version of yourself that naturally creates a different reality. So you can start with just one habit this week, or you can implement all of them. The important thing is to practice it consistently. Like if you want to get good at anything, it's regular practice, but watch what begins to shift, not just around you, but within you, because the moment your consciousness begins to change, your future has to change too. So thank you for letting me share this with you. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I loved sharing it. If you want some help in identifying a few of the major limiting beliefs that are still holding you back and support you in making some powerful new decisions, just take a second to check out the free assessment that we've put. There's a link in the description of this episode. It's absolutely free. It's AI powered. We've taken all of my podcast episodes, all of my curriculum, and we've trained an agent to actually help you identify your biggest limiting beliefs and to use the decision matrix to help you begin to transform them. I think that would be a great head start on your tiny habit routine. Also, if you have not yet, please subscribe. That is the way that we build this community, because this is not a do-it-yourself project. It's to do it with others. If you feel somebody needs to hear this episode, please share it with them. I thank you so much. I love you so much. Thank you for the opportunity. It's an honor to be here with you, and I will see you in the next episode.